Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. So for today's video we of course have my TBR jar picks, my August TBR. I'm so excited for this one. I feel like I don't really know what vibe I'm feeling, but there are definitely a few books on my radar that I hope to get. One of them being, oh, I just knocked over some. One of them being Main Characters by Bobby Palmer. I feel like all I've heard are incredible things about this book, so this is one I'm really eager to get on the TBR for August. And then the next one is actually a reread, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses. I really need to do my reread of the series before the sixth book comes out in October, and I've been meaning to do it and I just keep forgetting, and I just keep putting it off because I've got so many other books that I really want to get to. So I feel like if I put this on my TBR I have to read it and I won't feel as guilty. I don't know why I feel guilty rereading books, but it just feels like, obviously I've got, you can't see there's a few down here, but I've got a lot of books on my TBR, so it kind of feels like you're wasting your time, but I'm not wasting my time because I need to reread it. I haven't read this series in like 3 years and I just need it fresh in my brain for when I read the 6th one. So they're the two books that I kind of hope to get. Other than that, I feel like I'm happy kind of whatever way it goes. So let's pick our first prompt. I normally pick about 6 books. I have thought about picking a bigger TBR. I think someone commented on my last TBR video because I was saying how I struggle sometimes to read all of the books on my TBR, and they said why don't you pick a bigger TBR and then you've got more choice. And I do like that idea, but I also don't know whether it will overwhelm me. I'm kind of in between. I feel like let's see what we get for the first 6 and then we can go with if we're going to pick more or not. So the first prompt is, okay, I can use this for ACOTAR. It says by an author you love. I do love Sarah J Maas's books, so I feel like that is a very good one to go with, and obviously I really want to get this on the TBR. So the only other one I can think of is Catabasis. I always get this wrong. Catabasis. I really want to read this one, or is it Catabasis? It might be Catabasis actually. I'm not too sure, but I do love R.F. Kuang, so that's one that I would like to read. There's also some Kristen Hanna on here, and there's some Leigh Bardugo. I do love her, but I think obviously because I do want to try get ACOTAR and this prompt does work, I feel like we're going to put ACOTAR as the first one. So I'm really excited because I definitely will be reading this and it will feel like a bigger reward if it's on the TBR. So our second prompt, oh my gosh, sometimes these are so hard to pick up. Ooh. Oh my god, I've got free pick. Okay, this is turning out to be a very good TBR video because free pick, I'm going with Main Characters because I really want to read this. If you're unsure what this one is about, you're basically following, I don't know who it is, Clara and Seb, but you're told their story through other people's point of views. So I think the first chapter is like the photographer, and it's the photographer's, yeah, the first one's the photographer. And it's like, you basically follow them through, I think it's like 10 years or so. Do you know what, while I'm saying this, why don't I just read you guys the back? That's going to tell you the best premise of this book. So it says, when Clara and Seb meet in a quiet corner of London, it's the start of something. She wants to be a director, he's an actor, unsure what he wants from life. Their connection is magnetic. Everyone can see that falling in love looks something like this. But when Clara casts Seb in the film that will make her name, what should be the happiest time of their lives ends with a gut-wrenching betrayal. Some love stories are bigger than just two people. This one is told through the eyes of friends, flatmates, exes and strangers who see all sides of Seb and Clara, from their first date to the moment they fell apart. Everyone has their version of events, but only Clara and Seb can decide how their story ends. This is a love story told by everyone but the main characters. It just sounds so unique. All I've heard are incredible reviews, and everyone says how, even though you're obviously not in their point of view, you feel so connected to them. And I'm just so intrigued to see how that's paid off and how Bobby like emulates that. So I'm really excited. Also, looking through it, they're very short chapters. Like this one here saying her friend's student, and it's literally like 3 pages. So I feel like this is one I will binge and fly through really, really quick. So how good. I feel like maybe I manifested these two being put on the TBR straight away with the way I spoke about it at the start. I'm going to tell myself that regardless. So this is working out very well because I just need more of this. The third one is Oh my god, less than 500 pages. I feel like that's also a really good prompt. Wow, am I getting like all the good ones suddenly? Because this is working out really well. Okay, what books do I want to read? That's the best way to go into this, I think. So what ones do I really want to read in August? I feel like I do kind of want to read this one. Oh, okay, there's two. These two actually I really want to read. Let's see how many pages. That's less than 500. And this is less than 500. So I've got two options here. I feel like I'm leaning towards one of them a bit more. So the first one is In the Wake of the Ruined. This is the second and final book, I believe, to A Study in Drowning. No, In the Veins of the Drowning, I think that's the first one. Yes, In the Veins of the Drowning, which was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it. So this is a very anticipated release for me. And I'm actually quite shocked that I haven't read it yet, but I really want to get to it. And then this one is Loved One by Aisha Mahara. This one is obviously quite short. And I believe it follows a girl called Julia and her first love turned close friend Gabe. He dies unexpectedly, and then I think at his wake or his funeral she ends up meeting his current partner, and they kind of like share stories of like, I think like the Gabe they obviously knew different versions of him, and I think it really delves into grief, that makes sense. It really delves into grief, and I don't know why I love a lit fic vibe that's really centered around grief. I don't know why. I just feel like it's such an interesting emotion, and there's so many layers to it, and there's so many unique experiences. I feel like every single person's experience to grief is very different, so it's something that I always enjoy reading about, and I feel like there's so many sides you can play it in a book. It just really fascinates me. So these two are really high on my priority, but I think I am going to go with In the Wake of the Ruined because I really need to finish this book, start this and finish this duology, because I really loved, as I said, In the Veins of the Drowning, so I feel like this one would be incredible. Hopefully we get this one with a different prompt. So prompt number 4, we've got Fable picks. Okay, this is good, but I will say my Fable is not up to date, because I put this in there because I was updating Fable, as my want to read on Fable was my full TBR, but I haven't updated it in a while. Fable picks. I'll put the screen recording on. I do love doing this, but it's very risky because there's a lot of books on my TBR that have been here for a while, and I don't really have much of a desire to pick up. So let's see, what are we gonna get? I'm scared for what it's gonna pick. Oh my god, okay, this is actually probably a great one for right now. So as you would have seen, we have got, let me just move that out of the way. Ugh. The Woman by Kristen Hanna, and I say this is a great one right now because firstly I really want to read more Kristen Hanna, and secondly my mum just recently read, I think she read Summer Island by her when she was on holiday, and then she was saying how much she loved it, and I was like, oh girl, I've got so many of her books. I have only read one of them, and that is The Nightingale. So I gave my mum The Nightingale. She finished it, loved it, and now she's reading The Four Winds, which is again my copy, but I haven't actually read that one. And I said to her, you need to read The Woman because this one's been raved about. And I was like, I haven't actually read it, but I've heard great things. Now I can read it, and then I can confidently tell her to read this one because I think this is the one she wants to read next. So I feel like it will be a great one. If you're unsure what this one is about, also I just realised I didn't give a description on In the Wake of the Ruined or Akatar. Akatar, I feel like everyone knows about that, so I'm not going to go into it. This is also the second book in a series, so I'm not going to go into it. But it is a fantasy with sirens, kind of like enemies to lovers. There's a lot of yearning, there's a lot of banter, there's a lot of tension. If that sounds like your vibe, that's your sign. So The Women follows, I believe it, I'm not going to read the back because it's quite a long summary, but it basically follows, it'd be good to know the name, Frankie, who I believe is a nurse through the Vietnam War, and it's like her recount and story of that experience and everything that happened and stuff. So I feel like this would be emotional. I feel like I've seen everyone cry at this, so I don't doubt that I'll be in the same boat. But I haven't read a historical fiction in a very long time, and I feel like it will be good to kind of like switch it up, because obviously we've got two fantasies and a lit fic right now, so this just throws in a whole different genre and a vibe. And that is sometimes a great thing, even though it's probably going to be a heartbreaking palette cleanser. I'm excited to read it, and I'm excited to tell my mum about it because I love when people read books that I've recommended or that I've read. So it'll be fun to read that one before I give it to her, because then I actually will have an idea, because like I said, the Four Winds that I've given to her I haven't read, so I can't really discuss it with her. Anyway, moving on. Prompt number 5, it says a book with stars on the cover. What has stars on the cover? Immediately I'm drawn to this book. That is The Ballad of Falling Dragons. This is the second book to When the Moon Hatched, and I've been meaning to pick this up for a long time. I feel like, when did it come out? Like a month or two ago? Probably like 2 months ago now. And for some reason I just haven't. I think it's because I read When the Moon Hatched so long ago. I really need to like watch some recap videos and kind of just jog my memory a bit, because I really don't want to go into this with no memory of When the Moon Hatched, because that is a very complex book and there's a lot of world building and a lot happens, and I just feel like if I don't have the logistics, like, is the logistics the right word? The key elements or the key things memorised from that book, that might affect my reading experience. And this one, does it have stars on it? It does have these on the back, which I would say they're stars, in my humble opinion. And there's like loads of little like stars dotted around, I don't know if you can see that. So I feel like that does fit. But are there any others? I mean, there is this one, which is Fallen City by Adrian Young, and I mean this has stars all over it because this is a Greek mythology, I believe. So, and it's quite short. I feel like this one I really want to get to at some point, because I've heard a lot about Adrian Young and I've never read anything by them, so that's a good sign. I feel like, yeah, the Fairy Loot ones probably do. Other than that, I don't know. I'm sure there are plenty, but obviously we don't need to get every single one out. I can see this one does, Our Infinite Fates. That has, oh, can you see? Stars on the cover. I feel like out of all of them, I do really want to read Fallen City. It's never been on a TBR, but it would be nice to catch up and like get through this series a bit more. And I also feel like I've had very mixed things actually about this. Some people say nothing happened and it's quite boring. Other people were crying their eyes out and said it was incredible. So I kind of would like to see where I fall in that scale. And it is a series that I did really enjoy. I really loved When the Moon Hatched, so I feel like maybe, hopefully I would enjoy this. So, do you know what? Yeah. Let's go with The Ballad of Fallen Dragons for this one. Then my 6th and final prompt. Is it me or has this flown? Like, I feel like this has gone very quick and very well. Like, I feel like my last TBR video was an absolute shambles. I kept having to repick. Hopefully I've not just jinxed this one. But this has gone very well. So the 6th prompt is, yeah, on TBR for over a year. That's a good one. There are many that have been on my TBR for over a year. One of the ones I'm drawn to is A Darker Shade of Magic by V. Schwab. Just because I love V. Schwab. I've read the Vicious series, which the 3rd one comes out in October, or was it August? I think it's October. I'm not too sure, but it comes out this year. I've also read Addie LaRue. I've read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, which I loved. I think I've read other ones by her as well, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But I've heard really good things about this, and I've heard it's a very unique magic system and just setting, and it's also set in London, I believe. So this one sounds really intriguing, and I feel like it has been on my TBR a few times, but I just haven't got around to it. Over a year. What other books? Calling My Name. Do you know what? I feel like out of all of them, this is the one that's calling my name the most. We have a lot of fantasy on here now. We've got 4, if I put this on, which, you know, I love fantasy. I also feel like this would be good because I kind of like read everything but fantasy for a bit, and now I feel like I am in the mood to get back into fantasy and read a bit more because I do love the genre and I want to be back in my fantasy world. So that is like my happy place. So I think we're going to do it. We're going to do A Darker Shade of Magic. If you're unsure what this one is about, it says Kell is one of the last travellers. Magicians with a rare ability to travel between parallel universes connected by one magical city. There's Grey London without magic and ruled by the Mad King, George III. Red London where magic is revered, I think, and where Kell was raised alongside the heir to the Empire. White London, where people fight to control the remaining magic and magic fights back, and that once there was a Black London. I'm really intrigued, and I've heard really good things about this series, and I do have the second one as well, so I feel like this would be a good one to put on. So they are our 6 books. Do I want to pick any more? I'm really undecided because I really like this TBR, guys. I really like this TBR, and I'm excited to potentially and hopefully read some of this with you guys. Do I want to add any more to it, with the potential that I might not read it or want to read it? But again, I need to, you know, it doesn't matter if I don't read it. Do you know what, maybe we'll pick one more prompt, and if it's a good prompt, that's the sign we'll do it, and if it's not, that's the sign to not do it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but hopefully. Okay, has a map. I will say pretty much only fantasy. I do have 4 fantasies on there right now. Are there any ones that have a map that aren't fantasy? That would be interesting actually, because I feel like that is rare. So maybe that's the sign. If there are any that aren't fantasy with a map, I do think that's not going to happen. Oops, God, I keep knocking everything over. I don't think that's going to happen though. I feel like I've seen it once before, and for the life of me, can't remember what book that was. Obviously I could just get another fantasy on there, but let's see. Fallen City. No, this one doesn't have a map. Okay, maybe that's the sign, because I don't know if there are any fantasies that I like calling my name to the same degree, although I would like to read Bond of Hercules, which is the second book to Blood of Hercules, but I don't think it has a map. I also have absolutely no memory of what happened in Blood of Achilles, so yeah, maybe this is the sign. Maybe this is the sign to accept the good TBR and not put too many on, because I do think maybe it will overwhelm me, potentially. So let's leave it at 6 for now, but I do like the idea of potentially doing more in the future, and playing it a bit more by ear, because I feel like that's probably will help me actually get through my TBR. I will say I am currently filming a TBR video, reading video, for July. That will be out after this video, I think. I mean, no promises, you'll see it at some point. But the book I'm currently reading from that TBR, I won't say too much, is taking me a little bit longer to get through than I thought. So my aim is to finish it by tomorrow. But yeah. Anyway, let's recap on August TBR, because that is why we're here. So first off, we obviously have A Court of Thorns and Roses. Then we have Main Characters by Bobby Palmer. Then we have In the Wake of the Ruined by Kaylee Cassidy. Then The Women by Kristen Hanna. The Ballad of Fallen Dragons by Sarah A. Parker. And last but not least, we of course have A Dark Shade of Magic by V. Schwab. I feel like all of these are quite highly recommended and spoken about. Like ACOTAR, I feel like everyone and their mum's read it. Main Characters, I'm seeing a lot of hype for it. In the Wake of the Ruined, everyone loved In the Veins of the Drowning. A lot of people saying this one's really good. The Women, I feel like everyone raves about. The Ballad of Fallen Dragons, again, mixed opinions. Dark Shade of Magic, everyone loves. So as a whole, if I read these 6 books in August, I should be having a very good time. Manifesting it, because I somehow manifested getting the 2 books I wanted straight on my TBR. So I may have just converted myself into a manifestation agent. Agent? Guru. I don't freaking know. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking because I feel like I'm at this point where I could really ramble, and we don't need that. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of the books. What? Let me know if you've read any of the books on my August TBR, or if you're excited about any of them. I'm going to hopefully try film me reading some of them, because I do think this is a very good lineup. But no promises, because I am doing it for July and I don't want to sign myself up for August in case I just don't want to do it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you again in the next one.